Show number 26.
This Otaku's Life.
It's absolutely mind-boggling how many times we do something again and again. Of course, there's the obvious things like taking a shower, going to sleep, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast. But if you give consideration how often you walk your dog, feed your cat, how long it takes for you to do that, it's absolutely amazing. And somehow we tune these things out. We know we're doing it in the moment, but we often don't think about it or reflect afterwards. I can't even imagine how many hours or days or weeks that I've spent on mic podcasting. All the time I've spent producing and doing the show prep, wrangling in guests, thinking about the ongoing topic and tone of the show. And I'm not just talking about this one, I'm talking about another one that I do as well. We spend a lot of time and energy on things that we don't even give active consideration to. And it adds up very quick. It's amazing where we spend our time and our energy. I think it goes without saying that there are certain things that are important to invest your time. Family, your health, and of course, some version of security when it comes down to having a job, stability. I recently switched jobs and now I actually have a commute because I take the train every morning to go into the city. Prior to that, I would always drive. And the worst case scenario, a job that I had was about 40 minutes away, one way. But now that I take the train, I have to get up about 2.5 hours earlier, and I spend at least another hour at the end of my day coming home. And it's amazing to me how much time I spend in preparation just to get to the job, because I am functioning on the public transit's schedule and not my own. I get up earlier, which means that I cannot stay up as late and spend as much time as I do on things like watching TV, which I can't even begin to start with how mind-boggling amount of time I probably wasted on watching TV. However, just because it's considered a time waster does not mean that it hasn't been productive for my mental health and my socialization with others. We spend a lot of time on a lot of things, and we do millions of things a year. Just imagine how much time you've spent already listening to this show. I've always found it interesting of where we distribute our time and our energies. But that's okay. As long as it means something to you, that's all that counts. This week, we have a contribution.
Simon Chambers.
Share something that's on his mind.
I sat down with a friend at my anime club a few weeks ago, and it was only the two of us there that day, and I asked her what she'd like to watch, and she said that she'd never actually sat down and watched Robotech. And so the two of us decided that we would watch this old show from the 1980s together. For me, this was a lot like going home, because Robotech was the very first anime that I watched that I knew was anime, and it was a show that made a huge difference in my understanding of cartoons and what it meant to be watching this kind of entertainment. Now, you can say what you want about Carl Macek and the things that he had to do to get Robotech on the air, about mashing together different series to make one series, about the addition of protoculture and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that Robotech was something completely different from anything that had been on the air before. So the show may not stand up as well today as it did back then, but back then it did things that nothing had done before. It had an overarching plot where characters grew and changed and developed over the course of the show. It wasn't like an episode of Star Trek where Captain Kirk was always Captain Kirk, and it didn't matter what happened in one episode. When the next episode starts, he's right back to being who he is. In Robotech, characters changed, and their experiences affected who they were and what happened later on in the show. When a character died, it actually made a difference, and people reacted to that death over a number of episodes. It was a show that didn't glorify war, but showed the darkness that's part of it. It did things that no cartoon I'd ever seen before did, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It captured my imagination in a way no other show had done before. Once I realized that it was a show from Japan and it was Japanese animation and not just another cartoon with a different style, I started looking for more anime, and I found Megazone 2-3 and the Macross movie and other shows, and began to understand more what this hobby was about, what following anime rather than just liking cartoons meant. So sitting down with my friend on the couch and watching this show that I hadn't seen in 20 years was like going back home in the life of cartoons instead of in where I'd lived physically.
Thank you, everyone, once again for continuing to download and listen to the show. And a bunch of you contributed, and we want more of you to contribute. We have show IDs, and we need your help. Just record some audio and email it to us. And all we need you to say is this: Otaku's life, with pauses in between. And if that's not enough, well, we'd like you to share your stories and ideas to be on the show as well. And it's easy. If you can't think of something to cover a topic on, why don't you choose one that we've already talked about? Or if you have a topic of your own, we're cool with that as well. All we need you to do is record some audio, email it to us at thisotakuslife@gmail.com. And there's other ways to reach out and connect with us. We have Twitter, and that's thisotakuslife. And if by chance you got to our show in some other way other than our website, well, we have one of those as well. And that's thisotakuslife.com. So thanks again, everyone, for continuing to listen or checking out this podcast. And if by chance I saw you at a recent conference or meetup, well, it was nice to meet you. And I hope maybe you'll contribute or share this show with others if it's something that you like or you think others would as well. So thanks again, everyone, for continuing to listen and download the show. And until next time, have a good one.